So we don't go on holiday much. But we did go on holiday quite recently. We went skiing. And again, my brother likes to play tricks on me. So he was about to leave, and he was going, I'm just going off to get my ski gear. And I went, can you pick some up for me as well? And he was like, yeah, sure. I was like, he's never nice. Because I was too busy, and by busy I mean sort of a bit of Xbox. And he wasn't any good. So I'd play on my own, and he'd go off and get the ski gear. And it was only when he shut the door I realised that was a bad idea. Because when he comes back, he triumphantly walks in with some age 7 to 8 ski gear, which was very mean of him because he knows my size is 9 to 10. But it's all I've got, so I take it on the ski trip, and we get on the plane, we land, it's very cold, so we jump in the jacuzzi, which I love because I do a fart in a jacuzzi, and then I look round at all the bubbles and think, any one of these could be a stinky surprise. And then we got out of the jacuzzi and we were about to go to bed, and then my brother thought it would be hilarious if we had a practical joke on my mum where I get in the suitcase that he had brought, and then he wheels me down to her room, knocks on the door, runs away, and then I jump out the suitcase and frighten the life out of her. Which was a great idea, and I really was on board, and he taught me something in French. I'll mention it now, we were in France. And he taught me something in French to say to her as I jumped out the suitcase. So I got in, and he rolled it down the corridor, and I could hear myself sort of going down the corridor, and then I heard myself stop. I heard a knock on the door. I heard some very loud footsteps because he was severely overweight, running down the corridor. And then I heard the door opening, and I couldn't hold it in anymore. I unzipped that suitcase. I jumped out, and I shouted, "Je suis ici pour les enfants," which was the phrase he taught me. And it was then I realised this was not my mum's room. In fact, it was an elaborate practical joke that my brother was playing on me. And there was a French family stood there very, very scared. I had just emerged from a suitcase that they had found at their front door, and I had shouted, "Je suis ici pour les enfants," which in English means, "I'm here for the children." So she's passed out, her kids are kind of scared, and her dad's looking pretty angry, so I run away, like the brave soul I am, and get out on the slopes. And we were queuing for the ski lift, and you'll learn when you go away that the British queuing system does not apply outside of Britain, surprisingly. And so the French, they like to push in front, so I muscled my way through like the big sod I am. I made my way to the front of the queue. I hadn't noticed that I pushed over a very small little boy on my way in, and then I got pushed forward onto the chairlift, which seats 4, and I looked to my right, and there is a mother, a father, and their daughter. I look behind, their son is on the floor. I've muscled my way into this boy's family, and what's worse is this is the family who I've just said I'm here for the children for. And they don't know it's me. They turn round and they start speaking in French to me because I was wearing age 7 to 8 ski gear. I looked identical to her son. In the space of 2 minutes I've been adopted into a French family. And this poor boy, he must be screaming for his mum, but now, like, I've taken his place so he can shush. And they're chatting away, and I'm nodding along. I only know one phrase in French, and it's not going to get me anywhere. And so we get to the top of the lift, and because of the nerves, I panic, and my ski gets caught in the snow, and I fall off the lift, land flat on my face, and they all ski off, and then my new mum turns around to me and is like, "Oh, what's happened? Oh no." But before she can leap to my aid, the next chairlift comes in, and a little boy in age 7 to 8 ski gear is on that chairlift, and he collides with my upturned ski, and lands flat on the floor next to me. His mum is now freaking out. She is seeing double. Her actual son, his face is covered in blood. He's going, ah, 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 which is French for my nose is bleeding. And I try and get to my feet, but before I can, his mum rushes over, ignores her own son, and picks me up and starts talking in French and nestles me away, and I leave that kid. Sucker. And I get ferried off with this mum, and then I hear my ski instructor shouting my name. Hear his mum shouting his name, which for the purposes of this is David. But he's really called Jean-Luc. But on the ski holiday, I could have been Jean-Luc. I was that kid. And so, as I stand between his mum and my ski instructor, in the words of Natalie Imbruglia, I was torn. I could either A, continue with my ski instructor and have a lovely holiday, or I could B, start a new life in France. And I was very tempted, but as this poor 7-year-old boy's nose was bleeding down the slopes, I thought I better make a swift exit. So I made my way over to my ski instructor, and we ski down a little bit, and then he takes us to this like ravine and looks over, and it's rocks, and it's like vertical, and it's terrifying. And he says, "This is where we're going." And I said, Pierre, you've got to be kidding me. And he says, "No." But I need to be brave, because I can hear that little boy's mum skiing after me. She has abandoned her real son, and I do not want to suffer the consequences. So I pop in my iPod, switch on Bobby McFerrin, Don't Worry, Be Happy. I make my way down the ravine. And I won't lie to you, 1 metre I made it before falling over. I begin to tumble. I'm building momentum. I'm smacking on rocks. I'm terrified. I'm crying. I'm weeing, and I'm pooing, which is 3 things I didn't think I could do at the same time. And then I finally come to a stop halfway down the slope. My ski gets caught in one rock, and this ski gets caught in the other. My legs are pretty much on different mountains of the Alps. This area is not enjoying it at all. And the worst thing about having 2 songs on your iPod is when the second one is Natalie Imbruglia Torn. This is not the position you want to be in. So I'm in a lot of pain, but I can see at the top cocky Pierre coming down, shouting, "I was only joking." But I had music on, I couldn't hear him. And he comes down and he gets close and he rescues me. And I'm shaken up, I'm really scared. And then he brings me back to my family. And he goes, "Glad the old gang's back together again." I poked him in the nipple with an umbrella. I don't even know where it came from. We carry on with our lovely holiday, and he turns around to me and he goes, "Just had to make my job harder, didn't you?" Shut up, Pierre. With your French quiff and your good skiing and your silly name. Had to make your job harder. Do you know what jobs I've done? I was 14, so 1. Has anyone had like a really bad job? Jack, I know you have because you've done a bit about it. But has anybody else had like a really bad job?
I used to wash up in a Chinese restaurant.
Oh, that's like Jack. Jack used to do that too. I had a great job. I used to work in a factory, screwing the lids on sports bottles. Has anybody ever used a sports bottle? Yeah. And by bowl, I meant to say bottle. Anyone used a sports bowl?
Yeah.
You're welcome. That lid was screwed on by me. And so I'd sit there all day, just screwing on lids. The lovely thing about just having that time to just screw on tops onto bottles is quite therapeutic. And the terrible thing about therapy is it brings back childhood memories. So as I'm doing this, my hand cramps up. I look down at my hand. And yet again, I'm made of Lego. I think that's probably enough from me. I've been banging on for too long. Thank you very much. Have a good day.